Millions of Americans are about to lose power for more than a week. Over 18 inches of snow is heading toward your neighborhood right now. And the latest data just came in 30 minutes ago, and what I am seeing is absolutely terrifying. This is not a drill. This is not another weather prediction that fizzles out. This is the real deal, and it is happening this weekend. Right now, at this very moment, weather systems are lining up over the Pacific Ocean in a way that meteorologists have not seen since the year 2000. Hurricane hunters? Yes, you heard that right. Hurricane hunters are being deployed to track a winter storm. That has never happened before. When was the last time you heard of hurricane hunters flying into a winter weather system? Never. That is how unprecedented this situation is. Here is what you need to know in the next 30 seconds. Winter storm watches have been issued from Arizona all the way to Virginia. That is over 2,000 miles of impact zone. Charlotte, North Carolina, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Little Rock, Nashville, Louisville. All under winter storm watches right now. We are talking about tens of millions of Americans in the direct path of this historic storm. And here is the reward I promised you. By the time we reach minute 5 of this video, I am going to show you exactly how much ice and snow is forecast for your specific region, down to the county level. I will walk you through the exact timeline, hour by hour, so you know when to expect the first flake, when the worst conditions will hit, and when it will finally be safe to leave your house again. Stick with me because the information coming at minute 5 could literally save your life or keep your family safe and warm. But first, you need to understand why this storm is so different from anything you have experienced before. Most winter storms in the South, they blow through in 24 hours. Snow falls, maybe some ice, and then by the next afternoon, temperatures climb back up, everything melts, and life goes back to normal. Not this time. Not even close. This storm is going to hit on Saturday, and you will not see temperatures above freezing until Wednesday in most areas. Some of you, especially in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, you might not see a thaw until Thursday or Friday. That is 5, 6, 7 days of frozen conditions. Let me paint you a picture of what that means. Imagine ice coating every power line in your neighborhood. Not just a little bit of ice. I am talking about 1 inch, 2 inches of solid ice wrapping around those lines like a frozen glove. Now imagine winds gusting to 30, 40 miles per hour. What happens when you combine heavy ice and strong winds? Power lines snap like twigs. Transformers explode. Trees that have stood for 50 years come crashing down onto homes, cars, roads, and when that power goes out, it is not coming back on in a few hours. We are looking at outages lasting more than a week for hundreds of thousands of people. Do you have a generator? Do you have a week's worth of food that does not require cooking? Do you have batteries, flashlights, blankets, water? If you are shaking your head no right now, you need to stop this video after it is done and go to the store immediately. Not tomorrow, today. Because by Friday, those shelves will be empty. Now, let me show you exactly what is happening in the atmosphere that is creating this monster storm. 2 separate jet streams are about to collide. Think of jet streams like rivers of air high up in the sky. We have the subtropical jet coming up from the south, bringing all the moisture, all the warmth from the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific Ocean. Then we have the polar jet, diving down from Canada, bringing Arctic air so cold it will make your teeth chatter just thinking about it. When these 2 jets meet, and they are going to meet right over the southern United States this weekend, they create a perfect recipe for disaster. The warm, moist air from the south gets lifted up and over the cold air from the north. As that happens, all that moisture condenses and falls as precipitation. But here is the problem. At the surface, temperatures are below freezing. Just a few thousand feet up in the air, temperatures are above freezing. So the precipitation starts as snow, melts into rain as it falls through that warm layer, and then refreezes into ice when it hits the cold air near the ground. That is called freezing rain, and it is the most dangerous type of winter precipitation you can get. Snow, you can drive in if you are careful, you can shovel it, you can play in it. Ice shuts down everything. You cannot drive on ice. You slip and fall just trying to walk to your mailbox. And when ice accumulates on power lines and trees, that is when the devastation begins. Some areas are going to see over 1 inch of ice accumulation. 1 inch might not sound like much, but let me tell you what 1 inch of ice does. A single cubic foot of ice weighs about 57 pounds. Now imagine that coating every branch of every tree in your yard, every power line on your street. The weight is so enormous that branches do not just bend, they shatter. Power lines do not sag, they snap completely. And here is something most people do not think about. When you lose power in the winter, you do not just lose lights and television. You lose heat. If you have an electric furnace, it is not running. If you have a gas furnace, guess what? It needs electricity to run the blower fan. No power equals no heat. In temperatures that are going to drop into the teens and single digits, that is life-threatening, especially for elderly folks, young children, and anyone with health conditions. I want you to think about your elderly neighbors right now. Do they have a plan? Do they have somewhere to go if their power goes out? Check on them today. Make a plan together. This is not the time to assume everyone will be okay. Now let me walk you through the timeline, because timing is everything with this storm. Early Saturday morning, the first precipitation is going to begin falling across eastern Texas. Dallas, Fort Worth, you are looking at a wintry mix starting around 6 a.m. Saturday. By noon Saturday, freezing rain will be coating everything from Dallas northeast through Little Rock, Arkansas, and into southern Missouri. Saturday afternoon, the precipitation spreads into Tennessee, Kentucky, and northern Mississippi. Nashville, you are going to see your first ice around 2 p.m. Saturday. Memphis, you are in the mix by 3 p.m. By Saturday evening, the storm reaches North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Charlotte, you can expect the first freezing rain around 6 p.m. Saturday. Saturday night into Sunday morning, this is when conditions become absolutely treacherous. Ice accumulations are going to ramp up dramatically. We are talking about a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of ice in just 6 hours across a huge swath of the South. That is when the power outages are going to start cascading. One here, then another there, and then suddenly entire neighborhoods go dark. Sunday morning, the storm begins to wind down for Texas and Arkansas, but it is just getting started for the Carolinas and Virginia. Sunday afternoon, the heaviest precipitation shifts into Virginia, Maryland, and West Virginia. And this is where things get really interesting for some of you. The areas that have been getting ice all night Saturday are going to transition to all snow Sunday morning. When I say all snow, I mean heavy, wet, back-breaking snow. This is not that light, fluffy powder you see in Colorado. This is dense, heavy snow that packs together. And here is where some of you are going to see truly historic snowfall totals. Parts of the Appalachian Mountains, eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, southwestern Virginia, you could see 20 inches of snow. 20 inches. That is nearly 2 feet. Think about that for a second. 2 feet of snow on top of however much ice already fell. The weight on roofs is going to be astronomical. If you have an older home, a mobile home, or a building with a flat roof, you need to be extremely concerned about structural integrity. Roofs have collapsed under less. By Monday morning, the storm finally begins to pull away. The snow and ice taper off, the winds calm down, but do not think for 1 second that your troubles are over. This is where the second phase of this disaster begins, the bitter cold. Monday afternoon, high temperatures across the South are only going to reach the upper 20s and low 30s. That is the high temperature, the warmest it gets all day. In Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia, many areas will not even make it to freezing. Monday night, temperatures plummet into the teens across North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and northern Alabama. Single digits in Tennessee and Kentucky. Below zero in parts of West Virginia. Tuesday morning, it is even colder. Some areas in the mountains could see temperatures drop below zero. The wind chill, the feels-like temperature, could be 10, 15, even 20 degrees below zero in the higher elevations. That kind of cold is deadly. Frostbite can occur in less than 10 minutes on exposed skin. Tuesday afternoon, we finally start to see some moderation. Temperatures climb back into the 30s for the deep south, maybe touching 40 degrees in a few spots. But that is still below the point where ice melts quickly. So all that ice that accumulated over the weekend, it is still there. All that snow, still there. The roads are still impassable. The power lines are still down. The trees are still blocking roads. Wednesday afternoon, temperatures finally reach the low 40s for much of the South. That is when we will start to see some melting. But here is the problem. When ice and snow start to melt during the day and then temperatures drop below freezing again at night, everything refreezes. The roads become skating rinks. Black ice forms everywhere. So even though it might feel like things are getting better, the danger is still very real. Here is my projection, and I want you to listen carefully to this. If you live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the storm hits Saturday, I would not plan on leaving your house until Tuesday at the earliest. And that is if you are lucky. If you live in more rural areas where power restoration takes longer, you might be stuck at home until next Wednesday or Thursday. That is 5 or 6 days. If you live in Nashville, Louisville, or anywhere in Tennessee or Kentucky, plan for the same timeline. Maybe even longer because you are going to get more snow on top of the ice, and the cold is going to be more severe further north. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this guy is exaggerating. This is not going to be as bad as he says. Let me tell you something. I would love nothing more than to be wrong about this. I would love to come back in a few days and say, hey, the storm shifted. It was not as bad as we thought. Everyone is fine. But the data, the computer models, the atmospheric setup, everything is pointing toward a significant, potentially historic event. And I am not the only one saying this. The National Weather Service, these are the official government meteorologists. They have issued winter storm watches covering an area larger than the entire state of Texas. They do not do that lightly. They do not issue watches for hundreds of miles unless they have high confidence that something serious is about to happen. Let me show you the snowfall forecast, because this is what a lot of you have been waiting for. And I need to be very clear about something. When you see a map that shows 18 inches of snow for North Carolina, that does not mean Charlotte is getting 18 inches of snow. These maps often show a combination of snow and sleet. So you need to cut those numbers in half for areas that are going to see mixed precipitation. With that said, here are the areas with the highest probability of seeing over 12 inches of snow. The Appalachian Mountains from northeastern Tennessee through western North Carolina, southwestern Virginia, and into West Virginia. This is where the all-snow scenario is most likely. Elevations above 3,000 feet could see 15 to 20 inches. The highest peaks might even see 2 feet. The Piedmont regions, places like Charlotte, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, you are looking at a messier forecast. Probably 3 to 6 inches of snow mixed with sleet and ice. But that ice component, that is where your biggest problems are going to be. I am forecasting 1/4 inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice for the Piedmont. That is catastrophic ice accumulation. Upstate South Carolina, same story. Greenville, Spartanburg, you are in for a rough ride. Ice is going to be your primary concern. Dallas, Fort Worth, you are looking at mostly ice, maybe a little sleet mixed in. Ice accumulations could reach 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Houston, northern Louisiana, same situation. This is an ice storm for you, not a snowstorm. Arkansas, especially Little Rock and areas north, you are in the bullseye for significant ice. We could be talking about 3/4 of an inch to over 1 inch of ice. That is the kind of ice that leaves people without power for 2 weeks. Now, I want to address something I have noticed. There seems to be a tunnel vision in the general public when it comes to winter storms. People hear the word snow and they get excited. They think about snowmen and sledding and snow days. Let me be very clear about something. For most of you watching this is not going to be a fun snow day. This is going to be a dangerous, potentially life-threatening ice storm. You cannot throw snowballs made of ice. You cannot sled on ice. All ice does is take away your power, take away your heat, and trap you inside your house. Driving in snow is difficult, but possible if you are careful. Driving on ice is impossible, especially in the South where nobody has tire chains or studded tires. You are not ice road truckers. This is North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Arkansas. We do not have the equipment to handle this. So please, do not minimize this because you are hoping for snow. The ice is the real threat here, and it is going to impact far more people than the snow will. Let me talk about power outages for a minute, because I think some of you are underestimating how bad this could get. In previous ice storms in the South, We have seen outages last for 10 days, 2 weeks, even longer in rural areas. The February 2014 ice storm in the Carolinas left some people without power for almost 3 weeks. When ice brings down power lines, utility crews cannot just flip a switch and turn the power back on. They have to physically go out and repair every single line. They have to replace broken poles. They have to clear trees. And they have to do all of this in dangerous freezing conditions. It is slow work. Now multiply that by the fact that this storm is going to impact dozens of states simultaneously. Utility companies from all over the country will send crews to help, but there is only so much manpower available. Priority goes to hospitals, emergency services, major infrastructure. Your neighborhood street? You might be waiting a while. This is why I am telling you right now, today, you need to prepare as if you will not have power for a week. Maybe it will only be a day. Maybe you will be lucky and never lose power at all. But what if you do? What if it is a week? Are you ready for that? Here is a checklist, and I want you to mentally go through this right now. Do you have flashlights? Do you have batteries? Do you have a battery-powered or hand-crank radio? Do you have enough food that does not require refrigeration or cooking? Do you have water? You should have at least 1 gallon per person per day for 7 days. Do you have medications? Do you have a first aid kit? If you have a fireplace? Do you have firewood? If you have a generator? Do you have fuel? Do you know how to safely operate a generator? Never, and I mean never, run a generator inside your house or garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every single winter storm. Do you have a plan for staying warm? Extra blankets? Sleeping bags? Warm clothes? Layering is key. You want base layers, insulating layers, and an outer layer. If you lose heat and temperatures drop into the teens, hypothermia can set in inside your own home if you are not prepared. What about your car? Is your gas tank full? Do you have an emergency kit in your car with blankets, food, water, a flashlight? If you get stranded on the road, and people will get stranded, you need to be able to survive in your car until help arrives. Check on your neighbors, especially the elderly. Do they have what they need? Do they have a plan if they lose power? Can they come stay with you if needed? Community matters in times like this. We take care of each other. Now, let me address the question I know a lot of you are asking. Could the forecast change? Could the storm shift and miss us? Yes, it is possible. Weather forecasting is not an exact science, especially 5 days out. The models can shift. The storm track can change. Maybe it goes further north and some areas get less impact than currently forecast. Maybe it shifts south and other areas get hammered worse than expected. But here is the thing. The overall pattern is not changing. We have cold air in place. We have moisture coming. Those two things are going to collide. And when they do, somebody is getting significant winter weather. The question is not if this storm happens. The question is exactly where the worst impacts will be. As of right now, this afternoon, the computer models are in pretty good agreement. They have stabilized over the last 24 hours. Earlier this week, we saw a trend where the storm kept shifting north with each new model run. But today, that trend has stopped. The models are locked in. The European model, which is often the most accurate for these big pattern storms, has the storm right where it has been for the last few runs. The American GFS model is a little further south with more snow. The Icon model, which is a newer model that has been performing well, splits the difference. When I average all of them together and look at the ensemble forecasts, which show multiple possible outcomes, I keep coming back to the same conclusion. This is going to be a major event for millions of people. Hurricane hunters are being sent out to gather more data on the systems that will eventually become this storm. That is unprecedented. They do not send hurricane hunters to investigate winter weather. This tells you how seriously the meteorological community is taking this. Those flights will give us better data, which will help fine-tune the forecast. But even with that better data, the core message is not going to change. Significant ice, significant snow, significant cold, significant impacts. That is baked into the forecast at this point. Let me tell you about the cold air that is coming behind this storm, because it is just as important as the storm itself. After the precipitation ends on Monday, Arctic air is going to pour into the eastern United States. We are talking about air that originated over northern Canada and the Arctic Ocean. By Monday night, Low temperatures are going to drop into the teens across most of the South. Single digits in Tennessee and Kentucky. Tuesday morning, it gets even colder. Wednesday morning, still brutal. It is not until Wednesday afternoon that we finally start to see a warm-up, and even then, we are only talking about getting back into the 40s. This prolonged cold snap means that all the ice and snow that falls over the weekend is going to stick around. It is not melting anytime soon. Roads that get covered on Saturday are still going to be covered on Tuesday. Power lines that get coated with ice on Sunday are still going to be coated on Wednesday. And this creates a compounding problem. The longer the ice stays on the power lines and trees, the more chances there are for additional damage. A tree branch might hold up under the weight of ice for a day or two, but by day 3 or 4, it finally gives way and crashes down. That is when you get the secondary round of power outages, days after the storm has passed. I need to talk about something that people do not think about enough, and that is mental preparation. Being stuck inside your house without power, without heat, without internet or television, for days on end, that is mentally challenging. It is boring. It is frustrating. It is uncomfortable. If you have kids, think about how you are going to keep them entertained. Board games? Books? Coloring? You cannot just hand them a tablet if there is no power to charge it. If you are working from home, you need to notify your employer now that you might be offline for several days next week. Mental health is just as important as physical safety in situations like this. Have a plan. Have things to do. Have ways to stay occupied. The boredom and isolation can be just as stressful as the storm itself. Now, I want to circle back to something I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I promised you that at minute 5, I would give you specific information for your region. We are past that now, and I have delivered on that promise. I have walked you through the timeline, the snowfall forecasts, the ice accumulations, the temperature trends, everything you need to know to make informed decisions about the next 7 days. But there is one more thing I need you to do, and this is important. I need you to tell me where you are watching from. Drop a comment right now with your city and state. Why? Because I am tracking this storm minute by minute, and I want to make sure I can get you the most accurate, localized forecast possible. If you tell me you are in Nashville, I can focus on the specific impacts for Middle Tennessee. If you are in Charlotte, I can drill down on the Piedmont forecast. If you are in Dallas, I can give you the Texas perspective. The more I know about where you are, the better I can serve you with information that actually matters to your situation. So go ahead, pause for just a second after this video ends, and drop me a comment, city and state. That is all I need. And then come back, because I am not done yet. Here is what is going to happen over the next few days. I am going to be putting out updates constantly. Tonight, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, Friday morning, Friday afternoon. Every time new data comes in, I will be breaking it down for you. This is a rapidly evolving situation, and you need to stay informed. Friday is the day we are really going to nail down the final forecast. That is when the storm energy moves onshore in California, and we will finally be able to sample it with weather balloons and satellites. Right now, a lot of the storm is still over the Pacific Ocean, where we do not have good data coverage. Once it moves over land, the models will have much better information to work with. But do not wait until Friday to prepare. Prepare today. Prepare tonight. Prepare tomorrow. By Friday, it might be too late. The stores will be packed, supplies will be running low. Roads might already be getting slick as people panic buy and traffic becomes a nightmare. I have been a meteorologist for many years, and I can tell you that this storm has all the hallmarks of an event that people will remember for decades. When someone asks, "Where were you during the big ice storm of 2026?" you are going to have a story to tell. Let us make sure that story has a happy ending. Let us make sure you and your family stay safe, stay warm, and get through this together. One more thing before I wrap this up. I want to talk about the human element of all this. Behind every forecast, behind every number I have thrown at you today, there are real people whose lives are going to be affected. Families who might lose power and heat, elderly folks who might be trapped in their homes. Essential workers who are going to have to go out in dangerous conditions to keep hospitals running, to keep grocery stores stocked, to restore power lines. If you are an essential worker watching this, thank you. Thank you for what you are about to do over the next week. Stay safe out there. The rest of us, we owe it to you to stay off the roads and let you do your jobs. And if you are someone who is scared right now, if you are worried about how you are going to get through this, I want you to know that you are not alone. Reach out to family, friends, neighbors, make a plan together, help each other. That is how we get through difficult times like this. The forecast is what it is. We cannot change the weather, but we can change how we respond to it. We can prepare, we can help each other, we can stay informed, and we can make smart decisions that keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. This storm is coming. That is not in question. But we are ready for it. You are ready for it. Or at least, you will be by the time Saturday arrives, because you are taking the time right now to educate yourself, to understand what is coming, and to prepare accordingly. So, here is what I need you to do right now. First, drop that comment telling me where you are from. Second, share this video with everyone you know who might be affected by this storm. Your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors. The more people who have this information, the better off we all are. Third, start preparing if you have not already. Make your list. Go to the store. Gather your supplies. Check your emergency kit. And finally, stay tuned. I will be back with more updates as we get closer to the storm. The forecast will continue to evolve, and I will be here every step of the way to guide you through it. This is what I do. This is my passion. This is my job, and I take it very seriously because I know that the information I provide could make a real difference in people's lives. We are in this together. Let us take care of each other. Let us stay safe, and let us get through this storm as prepared and informed as possible. Thank you for watching. Thank you for trusting me with your forecast. Now go get ready, and I will see you in the next update.